Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I must say I'm really delighted to be here. It'll have to also be briefly because I have to go to the heads of state and government and former heads of state and government high-level meeting. And I, in fact, will have to be shorter than I would otherwise have been. But it is a pleasure to be here for the partnerships in advancing gender equality and sustainability, and to follow a male minister who has a personal conviction and a country that's doing a great deal on partnerships, as he has explained. And they are the kind of partnerships we need, because the promotion of gender equality and the structural reform and changes associated with it requires leveraging effective partnerships and our alliances that can act within and across boundaries. As you say, Elizabeth, and I know you're the same, we have experience of how well women partner, how well they network, in fact. So many networks. You know, Gender is My Agenda on Women, Peace and Security, the Clean Cook Stoves Alliance now bringing together a whole range of those who will be addressing women. I just wanted to address one area where I think we're going to have to partner in a very kind of nuanced and clever way, and we haven't got there yet. And that is in order to get energy to the very poorest, the majority of whom are women. And we believe in my foundation, Mayor Robinson Foundation Climate Justice, that governments have gathered together and know where the very poorest are in developing countries. They're in social protection systems of different kinds. You know, in Ethiopia it's 7.5 million people. Here in Brazil it's a great many people. In Mexico, in South Africa. So we know where the poor are gathered, but actually there is not a focus on ensuring that they have access to energy gadgets, light in the home, clean cook stoves, etc. And what I have learned, which I think is very, very important, is that the very poorest don't tend to prioritize energy. They have too many other priorities: food, safety, medicine for a child, you know, so many pressures. And they pay too much for energy. They pay too much for kerosene and cancer, and they have bad health risks, as we know. And what we need to think about, and that's why I think it's something for this partnership, because you're going to have a whole lot of very talented and skilled people coming for these hub discussions later on, and IUCN, etc. I think we need to interest the private sector in a public-private partnership where somehow we get the financing up front for small hydro, biomass, etc., for poor communities in these social protection systems, paid off by mini-credit. I think that this is really, and then we will scale up. Because what worries me, I like the ambition of the Secretary General, access to energy for all, and it should be affordable renewable energy by 2030. It's not in the Rio text as a commitment with targets, unfortunately. It's not there in a driving way. We have taken this on board. It is noted. And believe me, and Elizabeth knows this, noted ain't strong, you know, and not strong enough. But actually, we can do a lot through effective alliances. And I would be really interested in hearing feedback from this partnership session as to whether we can find ways. This is not an easy one for the private sector. There are actually two big groups that we talk about when we talk about the poorest and access to energy. I think we could say that there are probably about 500 million now who have mobile phones but no light in the home and probably no clean cook stove. And they can be reached by some public-private partners and some social entrepreneurs who are reaching them. But then there are 900 million who have neither a mobile phone nor light in the home. How are we going to reach them? I think, and they are mainly women. And energy would make such a difference, but they don't even have an awareness because they're so fixed on food for the family, you know, every day, water, all the things that are such pressures. So how do we begin to look at social protection schemes? We brought together some experts from energy and from social protection schemes, and the answer was we can create many more synergies. And you know, I'm glad to see the minister taking notes because he's a very clever minister, and we've talked later about possibilities. But I'm sorry, Elizabeth, I think I have to run because I can't be late for my very important heads of state and government that I have to join. But my colleagues and I will be following this day of partnership. Maybe we can duck back in later. We'll do our best. Thank you very much indeed. Forgive me for